Today we're going to go over our learning objectives and explore the custom features of the Vitocrosal 300 CA3B. We'll identify the installation advantages in commercial applications and describe the internal and external cascade strategy. Highest features to take a look at is the highest efficiency in class. We're holding the highest water volume in class. Pressure is capable with this heat exchanger up to 160 psi. With the patented stainless steel inox lamellar heat exchanger. This boiler also has a high modulation and turndown ratio. We can see some of the features here, like efficiency up to 96%, multiple burners achieving a low NOx of under 20 parts per million between the 2 or 3 burners per boiler. Size range from 2.5 to 6 million BTUs, up to a 16-to-1 turndown ratio. Natural gas or propane field convertible, or we do offer a dual fuel switchable option that must be ordered as a dual fuel during ordering. Maximum 39.5 inches wide by 84 inches tall and 136 inch in depth. Unit does come delivered in a full assembled package. Maximum allowable working pressure of 160 psi and a max high limit temperature of 203 degrees Fahrenheit or 95 degrees Celsius. For the full lineup in a single fuel, so these will come packaged as natural gas, they will come with their LP conversion kits. We have the 2.5 and 3 million. This will also be known as a compact model, as it is the smallest in width in a single fuel. A 3.5 and 4 million as a 5 and 6 million as well. In those dual fuel lineups, remember the dual fuel is going to be natural gas and propane. The changeover at the turn of a dial, that offering in the same 2.5 to 6 million BTUs. The dual fuel on the 2.5 and 3 million will be slightly wider than its single fuel counterpart, the compact version. Look at the turndown ratios again, with a minimum 250,000, max 2.5 million, minimum 300,000, and that max 3 or 3.5 million, minimum 400,000 to a maximum of 4 million. All of these equating to 10-to-1 or slightly better than a 10-to-1 turndown ratio. And then that 5 million achieving a little over 16-to-1 and a 6 million achieving a 15-to-1 turndown ratio. We can take a look at some charts that are going to come up here. Labeled, we have weights in single fuel. We also have the weights in a dual fuel capacity. We're going to see a lot of technical data over the next few slides, and I'll point out the slide title. But to save time in this recording, please pause the recording as you see it on a specific model that you may be interested in. This technical information you see here is directly out of our tech data manuals. Those can be found online in our current product manual sections in the Pro Toolbox on our Viessmann-us.com or Viessmann.ca websites. Going through sizing, you can see here that compact version only reaching a 34-inch in width, but in comparison to its dual fuel counterpart will be a few inches smaller in the width to overall. 3.5 and 4 million BTU models here. The 2.5, 3 million, 4 million BTUs in a dual fuel all share that same cabinet and size. So as you'll notice, that 2.5 and 3 million with its compact version in a 34-inch width in the dual fuel, that same model size will go to a 39.5-inch width in the dual fuel model alone. Lastly, that 5 and 6 million, whether it's in a single or dual fuel capacity, will share the same cabinet size. All those units are going to come assembled and delivered as a package. For mechanical rooms where access makes it impossible to install, the Vitocrosal 300 CA3B can be disassembled and reassembled in the field by the installing contractor. This does have a protocol and procedures that must be put into place as a water testing, hydrostatic pressure test after reassembly is all that's going to be required. We do have recommended service clearances, and with this boiler needing all four sides of the boiler for maintenance and service, we do recommend to maintain these service clearances. It is very possible in certain instances to maybe make the in-between in the center portion of it, in this section here, slightly smaller, but you do need to get a guy and a ladder on both sides of this boiler for its service. We do require a housekeeping pad, and things to take into consideration is that the condensate trap needs to hang off the back of the condensate pad, or I'm sorry, off the housekeeping pad, just because of the height and depth at which it comes out the bottom of the boiler. With that being said, we'll need a lot of clearance in the rear to maintain our venting, use our cleanouts, as well as inspect our condensate trap and neutralizer. The housekeeping pads you'll be seeing here in the next few slides. We can pause to consider each one individually. Take a notice of the condensate trap that'll be the same on all models, must hang below and off of the back of that housekeeping pad so we can have enough room for our pitch down to our neutralizer, as well as get the condensate trap installed. Electrical power supply on these units is 2.5 through 4 million is going to be a 20 amp dedicated circuit or a 20 amp 240 circuit. So single phase 20 amp, single phase 240, 20 amp dedicated breakers. On the 5 and 6 million, that will be a 3-phase 208 dedicated 20 amp circuit to it. In the 3-phase series, the 5 and 6 million are used in a Y connector, as all the components inside of them still only use a 120 single phase operation. There are common manual resets built into the CA3 boilers, as they do have multiple vessels and burners inside of them. So we do have common flue gas temperature high limits, common water temperature high limits in a manual reset fashion. We also have a factory supplied manual reset low water cutoff that will come with the boiler and will be field installed. These 3 factory built-in safeties also can be expanded to multiple other safeties with the built-in safety chains, as you can see here on the X4 terminal block. Other things on the X4 terminal block is we do have an optional 24-volt relay. That's when we use the Viessmann mixing valves larger than the 2.5 inch, which will be, or 2.5 inch and above, which will be a 24-volt card. Anything lower for those heat circuits 2 and 3 with the Viessmann mixing valves will be a 120-volt mixing valve, or 2.5 and above will be that 24-volt mixing valve and card adaptation. You can also see the multiple pump outputs. Now, some of these pump outputs would be dedicated for heat circuit 2 and heat circuit 3, as well as the heat circuit 1, but we do have a DHW recirculation pump, DHW tank loading pump. We do have a boiler, dedicated boiler pump, and the 3 heat circuit pumps that are available. This also has a 120-volt fault message alarm output for that dedicated alarm, maybe a light bulb that you might be using. Safety header is going to come attached to the boiler, of course, and we are going to supply all of the accoutrements associated here in the purple rendering. We're going to give you all the associated hex bushings, nipples, 90s, an auto can vent, a pressure temperature gauge, that manual reset low water cutoff I spoke about, as well as a 75 PSI pressure relief valve. remember these boilers can be ordered with any option from 30 to 160 PSI relief valve to meet your system requirements. We also will provide a number 1 sensor, which will be the Viessmann outdoor temperature sensor, and a number 5 sensor, which would be a DHW indirect tank temperature sensor, will be provided. There is the option when we cascade these to use a low loss header or a common supply sensor. That would be an additional equipment needed to be ordered. When we first power up the units, they do come with a startup wizard. After first power up on the control, most all of the factory addressing is already done. If it's a standalone boiler, there are very few instances that you will have to adjust any programming that is factory done for you. When we look at the application type on the very first screen, we'll be choosing language, multiple languages such as Spanish and French Canadian. The date and time can be put into a European style format and 24-hour time programming, or the typical North American standard, as well as 12-hour programming. You can use the units in imperial or in metric, and the application type, unless the entire boiler is to become a lag boiler, there's no need to touch the application type, as we do have the main front display as a lead boiler and cascade control, and then subsequent displays inside of the boiler will be preset as the lag boiler. There are also factory on-site startups available through Viessmann. There's simple programming. Remember that standard programming is factory done. We do have staging and rotation built in. That can be done at the first of the month or based on burner run hours. Built-in burner modulation, the availability of 3 heating circuits with outdoor air sensor reset logic. There's external demand with dedicated fixed set points to drive the control outside of an outdoor air condition and go to a fixed set point for, say, a snow melt, pool, or spa heating. There's built-in DHW programming with available DHW recirculation. 0 to 10 volt with included EA1 module. There's also external blocking available that can be used from any BMS system or any mushroom stop. Fault message output relay to ensure that if we need to close a contact for any fault message alarms, we have that on board. There is optional equipment available, like a variable speed boiler pump control module, the Vitogate BMS gateway, a solar thermal interface, as well as the VitoConnect Opto 2 for remote monitoring. With the LAN communication protocol, if it's a single boiler, like we see on the left here, that would be boiler 1. That would have burner 1 and main control as your lead and cascade. Control number 2 is a lag control, and control number 3, again, a lag control. When we go to cascade these together, we can have a total of 8 burners total in cascade with the built-in lead and cascade control on the front of any one of the boilers. In this instance, we will connect the 2 boilers, which we'll see in the next slide. This will then be addressed to lag boiler number 4. Second control in here will be lag boiler number 5, and the last control will be lag boiler number 6. Better shot of those 3 control boards here. That's where we'll update the application type to include more LAN participants. Some of these boilers do only have 2 burners and 2 vessels inside of them, so it'd be a possibility to cascade up to 4 boilers. With these 3 here, we could mix and match and put a 2-burner vessel in and get a total of 8 burners, but typically just 2 together. Now, how we connect those together is you would order these as a pair and a cascade, and it will come with the LAN communication card, where it'll also come with a 23-foot RJ45 connection. You could field make your own Cat5 cable and connect those boilers. We do also have adapter cards available for anything over that 23-foot connection that it comes with, and you can simply transfer over to a shielded wire to transmit that signal between each boiler. For the Vitogate, also compatible with up to 8 burners. This is part of the Vitotronic LAN system that it all works on. It's the Viessmann LAN communication. The Vitogate 300 is available in BACnet IP, BACnet IP MSTP, Modbus TCP IP, and a Modbus RS 485. There is a limited number of data points on the standard LAN SVNT format. However, it should meet every single point that you need to read through BMS. Compatible up to 8 burners, connects and mounts to the lead boiler on its integrated DIN rail just behind the front panel. We do also offer a custom control panel that can be paired with the CA3B. We use these when there's more than 8 burners installed. There are pre-configured options with project-specific programming. These can cascade an unlimited number of burners, real-time system loading, optional VFD outputs for your pumps, staging, rotation, and modulation built in, as this will become the lead boiler control. We can input BTU metering, system efficiency trending, heating circuit extensions for more than the 3 that are built in, as well as multiple HMI options from a nice Niagara touchscreen all the way down to just a simple PLC control. Custom control panels with BMS. All the BMS points can also be pre-configured for the indoor unit. Each individual boiler will have its own Vitogate 300 or BMS integrator installed in that custom control panel and run each individual boiler as its own boiler off of the cascade control in the main unit here. That'll conclude our intro to the CA3B. We explored the custom features of the Vitocrosal 300 CA3B, its high maximum allowable working pressure, the versatility of BTUs and being able to cascade those together, the option for the custom control panel so we can cascade an unlimited number of burners. The possibilities would be endless in all of those installation advantages in all commercial applications. Remember that internal and external cascade strategy. Internal cascade pre-set up for the 3 vessels and burners that are inside of it, as well as we do have external cascade strategy from the lead boiler for up to a total of 8 burners. If you have any questions, please reach out to your Viessmann sales rep and have a great day.